Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and today Zhaohui has dropped for Girls Frontline 2, as well as the rerun for Klukai. Now I'm a little bit late getting this video out, because this is going to be my Should You poll. Now I had a bunch of things pop up, so I wasn't able to get this out yesterday. But this is going to be a discussion on not only whether or not you should poll for Zhaohui, but also Klukai. Because one of the big things I discussed when Clukai came out originally was, depending on how many polls you have, you may only want to get so many copies of her right off the bat, especially if you're only wanting to eventually get V6, because we had no clue what was coming up after Mish T, Vector, and all of them. And so now we have the rerun on Zhaohui's banner. And so first we'll talk about Zhaohui, though, and then we'll kind of get into Klukai's discussion. With her, she's for a majority of people going to be a very easy skip. Now, I will be pulling for her simply for collection's sake. She's not really going to get use currently. Potentially in the future, once we have the entire Mono Hydro team. But one of the big things that we can expect with Hydro in the future is once Springfield comes out, which most likely is a good chance going to be the next unit. But once she comes out, we start to kind of see Hydro turn into a Hydro Corrosion dual team. So when we get Springfield, you're not going to put Zhaohui into the Hydro team. What you're going to want to do, at least from a meta perspective, this is going from a meta perspective, you're going to want to get a Springfield paired with your Tololo, and then you have Klukai, Peridia, and Mishti, and there is your duo Hydro Corrosion team. That'll be the meta damage dealing team going on pretty far into the future, unless they change up the banners quite significantly. Zhaohui doesn't really start to see herself shine to a certain extent until we get the Mono Hydro going, and that first requires Nikita to come out. Nikita, being a big damage dealer, gets added to Hydro. Now, she's not the one that makes Mono Hydro come online, because once Nikita comes out, all you're going to do is drop Mish T from that combo team, and it's going to be a Klukai Peridia paired with Tololo, Springfield, and then Nikita. But the latest unit that came out on the CN version, which is Florence, she is the one that's starting to make it look like you're going to potentially have the possibility of wanting to build a Mono Hydro, which is going to include Florence, Tololo, Springfield, and Nikita, with the fifth kind of completing that Mono Hydro, with it being Zhaohui. One of the problems, though, if you want to really call it a problem, is that you also have another unit that you are going to get V6 for free, which is Sabrina, who also can fit into that team as well. Now, I believe Zhaohui is better than Sabrina, just kind of looking at it in terms of what she brings to the Mono Hydro. But Sabrina is absolutely good enough, and that is one of the main reasons why she's going to be an easy skip, especially for now, because I highly doubt we're going to have the entire Hydro team come out here back to back. So you could always wait till her rerun in 4 banners to kind of see where we're at in terms of units if you really want to pull for her. If for some reason they make us get Florence really early as well as Nikita. I doubt that's going to happen, but you never know. In that case, Zhaohui may be a pickup. But for now, I think she's an easy skip, especially since Springfield is probably looking like the next unit coming out, and she's going to be way, way, way more important to get for the Hydro team, especially if you can pull off getting her V1, because that's where she can really ramp up Tololo's damage. Now, the other unit is Klukai, who is rerunning here. And so we've gotten past one of the big things I had mentioned before when Klukai came out first was we had like Vector, Yuhi, and then Zhaohui known that they were going to come after her and Mishti. And so one of the big things I said, especially for like free-to-plays or low spenders, if they wanted to get the V3 or V6, they had a ton of pulls saved up, but they didn't have enough to say guarantee her V6 and pull off like a V1 Vector, was to kind of see where you're at after Vector and Yuhi and them. And so now we're past those units. One problem we have now, which is what I said we potentially could happen, was when she reran, the unit after it's probably could be a big one, and it is looking like it is going to be potentially Springfield. If it isn't Springfield, I have a feeling she's coming very, very soon. And so we're going to start probably seeing a ramp up of the other big units. And this is where Klukai starts to fall off to a certain extent. She's still, to me, one of the best DPS in the game at V6 compared to like Springfield V6, and Leva V6. The problem is, if you're going to invest in a V6 in anyone, a Springfield, even on the CN version, is the one to do that. Because not only does she do good DPS, not Klukai's level, but she does good DPS, but her support is crazy good, paired alongside like Nikita and Tololo. And then we just had Yuhi, which I would say was also a better investment than a V6 Klukai, because she's a very good support and pairs really well with the electric team when we get Leva and all that. And so for Klukai, unless she's like one of your favorites, like for me, I advise that she is a skip for now. If you already have her at V0, she's really good at V0 for your AoE content, and you just don't use her for bosses. Or if you're, say, already at V3 and trying to think about V6, I still say she is a skip for a majority of people, like I said, unless she's like your favorite unit. And as much as I like her, she is not. And the one big thing we do have coming up that we do know of right now, and I'm going to go over it tomorrow morning in my next video, is the next big corrosion unit, which is Lind, who is going to be an AoE shotgun user that's going to pair with her, Priya, and Mishti. The big thing, though, that I've seen with her kit so far, and we'll kind of look at it, is while Klukai is going to be good with her, Klukai is not going to be the one that you have to have in that team. The ones you're going to want to have are at least Priya and Mishti and Lind. And then Klukai is going to be really good with her because she likes corrosion overall, but she's going to be less important to that overall team, especially if you don't heavily invest into her. But Lind may have a similar problem that Klukai has in terms of only being significant AoE damage. I'll be going into her kit tomorrow without the numbers so that we can kind of see that. But we'll have to see. But Lind is probably quite a ways off. So I don't expect us to have that team coming together anytime soon. And I can tell you for sure, we're almost certainly going to have another rerun of Klukai before that time anyway. And so you can always wait for the next Klukai rerun. That's going to be kind of one of the big things, probably with Klukai and some of these other big ones like Springfield. Them, as I kind of talk to my lower spenders here, is they're always going to have new units come out that are probably going to be really good with certain amount of dupes, like a Vector with V1. Springfield's got they're adding a lot of units with good V1s, and that really hurts in terms of having a character you might want to hyper invest into just because you really, really like them. And that's why I'm probably only going to V6 one more unit. And then after that, I'm just getting one copy of every unit from then on, except the occasional V1 that's needed. And so that's kind of just my thoughts on Klukai. Ultimately, I think she is a skip now for a majority of people. Unless you just really, really like her, which I think a majority of people do. Because she can do pretty much everything except some of the EX modes, as we've seen in CN, where it's basically heavily tailored against her. But as people have said, that difficulty mode is not necessary to be complete. There's nothing significant in terms of rewards for completing that. So Klukai can do everything for you pretty much. And she is still a great pickup if you want her. But just know that she's not really the meta at this point in terms of the top teams. But she is flexible and she can fit anywhere, which is really nice as well. That's just kind of my thoughts on her. When it comes to the weapons, I mean, with basically both of them being easy skips, the weapons themselves are also pretty much easy skips. I really like her weapon just because I really like Klukai, but not necessary at all. Same with hers. Doesn't really provide much. And when you kind of actually look at Zhaohui's weapon here, one of the things I really like, she's a sentinel versus being like a support, which is the other kind of negative against her, because all the supports have really good weapons that support their overall Hydro team, which hers does not. It's all specific to her own damage, which is fairly low, which is kind of what makes her kind of bad at this point. And I think most people consider her one of the worst of the dolls in the game at this point, which really sucks because I really like the character and I like her skin she has. And I will be pulling for her just because I like her, but she's really not going to get much use for me, and I don't think many other people are going to put much use into her, especially right now since we don't even have Springfield to really make the Hydro team come online very heavily. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will be streaming here in probably about an hour after I upload this, and I will be pulling for Zhaohui and then going through that. And yeah, we'll go through the whole story there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.